Alright guys, sitting here in Caravan Park in Wollongong. Haven't got to ride since Wonthaggi. I hurt my shoulder in that first turn crash. But while we've got a bit of time then, what we're going to do is, I touched on a budget video to go racing last year. We'll link that down below so then you guys can check that video out if you haven't already. And my intention was always to follow it up with a sponsorship video, and just got super busy and never got around to it. So that's what this video is going to be, talking all things sponsorship. And we actually put out a poll on Instagram, getting people to ask us questions, anything they want to know regarding sponsorship. So I'm going to talk a bit about my sort of sponsorship stuff and then answer all the questions at the same time. So I think this one should be pretty fun. So what I started to do was build a budget. Everything that I thought was going to be an expense for the season, everything it was going to cost me to go racing for whatever year it was. And it come to about $80,000, my budget. And the whole goal behind it is I want to try and drop that $80,000 down to zero, because that number's worked out on retail prices of everything that we're doing throughout the year. So the idea is to get sponsorships and get support to drop that number down as low as we can by ticking off each category. So bikes, gear, fuel, everything related to going racing, because then it won't cost me to go racing. So for a typical year, I'd like to start approaching sponsors as early as, say, September. And then have everything finalized and wrapped up by New Year's. Then that way, obviously, all you have to focus on for the year is just going racing, your training, everything like that, and your sponsorship stuff's already locked up, good to go. But with COVID and everything happening in the world, obviously everything slowed down a little bit. Everyone was a bit unsure of what's going on. So I was starting to approach sponsors more so around November into the new year. And I've pretty well got all my sponsors wrapped up now, everything's sorted. But going back to the budget, I didn't quite meet that quota that we we're talking about through those sponsors. But what we've worked out with all the sponsors is we've probably saved around $49,000 of that 80 to leave us with what we estimate will be around $33,000 still to come for this season. Keep in mind that all of these prices were worked out off retail. So although we dropped it down that $49,000, and that's awesome, that doesn't exactly mean that someone's given me $40,000. It's just that numbers gets taken down off discounted costs. So if something retails at $100 and I get it for $70, then we take 30 off the budget, so on and so forth the whole way through. So to give you a bit of a better idea of how it all works, I think I might go through some of the Instagram questions, and then I'll answer the question while also explaining how my situation sort of works. A cool one to start with from Love Off-Road Oz. They asked, can you break down the different levels of sponsorship racers get, discount on products, free product, etc. So it's a cool one to sort of explain how it all works. So I'd say that every single sponsor is a little bit different, so keep that in mind the whole way through. But if I was going to break it down, I'd probably go into 3 different sections. So obviously discounted products, free product, and then financial support. Where I started, and I guess where everyone starts, is discounted products. So a company might help you out with whatever you're buying, they'll just give you a discounted rate to buy it at. And then for me, as I started getting a little bit faster, started getting some better results, I started getting an opportunity to get some free product. But there's almost a bit of a mixture between the free product and discounted product there. So for me right now, an example is Airoh Helmets. Those guys offer me a couple free helmets for the year, and then if I use more than that, it's at a discounted rate. So it's sort of the combination between discount and free product. So that's how most of my sponsors are right now, is I get X amount of free product, and then after that they choose a discounted rate for me to buy whatever I use on top of that. And then something that's new to me, that I'm just starting to move into probably the last year, I've got a couple sponsors now where company will give me X amount of free product and then also a bit of financial support on top of that. So the company will pay me to use their product. For me right now, the money that I'm getting through that isn't huge. It's probably ranged between about $500 to $2,000. But I'm definitely not complaining, that's unreal. And then I guess there's some sponsors also that are purely financial sponsors. So they mightn't have a product to give you, like nothing so much motocross related, but they're able to just support you. So they'll give me a certain amount of money to promote their business, whatever it is. All right, next question. How do you get your sponsorships? Do you call them, email them, etc.? I'd say there's no perfect way to do it. What I do is I'm pretty old school. I like to call the person or see them in person. So something I always like to do, even if I don't know the person, but I know who they are, and if I see them at a race, I always try to make sure I go and introduce myself to them, get to know them that way a little bit. Or if I have a phone number, I like to try and call just to develop a bit more of a relationship than just an email or a DM or something like that. But I do know that it's hard sometimes. You can't always find a number on a website or whatever, because obviously they probably don't want you calling them all the time. But yeah, you might have to get a little bit creative in how you do it. I know I've definitely have just sent a DM to someone before, but typically I don't ask for a sponsorship in that DM. I'll ask them for a phone number or someone I can email or who I should get in contact with. Just again, so I can develop a bit more of a relationship, more so than just going in and like, can I have this? So what I make sure I do is once I've got that email or the contact, I send through my sponsorship presentation or proposal. And I've actually got a pretty professional one done up through the guys at ID Media. Obviously that's going to be your first point of contact with the guys, where they're really seeing what you're about and what your program is. So I want it to look as professional as I can. It's not just your typical like Word document type style. I've got photos in there. It all looks pretty. It all meshes together well. It's got facts about me, talks about X results, talks about analytics for my YouTube, for my social media. And yeah, it's just pretty well put together. So then obviously they're going to see that and realize that I run a pretty professional program, which is important for me when I'm approaching a sponsor. I want to show them that I am serious about this and I'm putting in a lot of effort. All right, next one. Is it better to mention results or what you can offer them when sending in resumes and proposals? I personally do both. I think you need to do both. In my proposals, I talk about my X results. I talk about my goals, which races I'm going to do. And then I also talk about what value I can provide the companies. I think in this industry, everything used to be a lot more related to results, and everyone was basing pretty well all sponsorships off how fast you are, what results you have. But I feel like there's a bit more of a shift right now towards trying to just build the sport, trying to promote the enjoyment of motocross. So I'm definitely thinking outside the box a little bit, and I've now got my YouTube channel, which I believe adds a fair bit of value. I've got my social media built up now. I do coaching. I've got a whole bunch of different avenues. And I know you guys might be a little bit different. Everyone's different in what they've got to offer. But I think just get that across, whatever it is you think you can provide, because every sponsorship, and especially in motocross, I think you can approach it so many different ways. You can always provide value to a sponsor if you just got to start getting creative with it. All right, next one. Have you turned down sponsorship offers ever, and why? Yeah, I definitely have. Back in the day, I never would have. Actually, for a long time, I run helmets just because they were the helmets that I could get cheap or I could get free, and they just weren't good quality helmets. If I had a crash, I'd get a concussion just about every time. Whereas now, I actually use that example. I had a deal where I could have free helmets through a company, and I just went out and bought one just straight from a shop, a good quality helmet, because it's something you can't muck around with, is your safety, and obviously your head's such an important thing. So I've turned down a helmet sponsorship before. I've also turned down just like plenty of sponsorships where now it seems like the value for my sponsors, I want to feel like there is some value for me. I'm not just saying yes to a sponsorship because it's going to be cool to have another sponsor. I sort of feel like unless I can see value and it's actually going to help my program, I just won't go for that sponsorship. So yeah, to answer it simply, yes, I've turned down sponsorships before. All right, next question. What are sponsors looking for as a return for helping sponsoring you? Everyone's a little bit different, as I keep saying. Some sponsors want a specific logo and a specific spot on your bike. Some guys want it on your jersey, helmet. Also, I've got sponsors that might say, I need you to do one social media post a month promoting our brand. I've personally got some sponsors that purely just want to see me do well. So they give me support just because they want to support my program and see me do the best that I possibly can do. And then I've got other sponsors that they're trying to grow the sport, and they see that I'm trying to do that. So I'll give an example, Maxxis Tyres. When I first sat down and spoke to Maxxis, those guys said they love what I was doing through the YouTube, trying to promote the sport. And if I can grow the sport through that, then the more people riding motorbikes, the more people are buying tyres, and that obviously more people hopefully are buying Maxxis tyres, and that helps them. So there's a return in that way for those guys to invest and help me. And then it's like that with most of the sponsors. Pretty well, if they're helping you out, they want to see a return on their product. They want to see people that support me going out and buying their product or using their product on the track. Next question. Would you rather get on a factory team or continue killing it on YouTube from a lifestyle perspective? It's something I've honestly thought of. Like, personally, it's always been a dream of mine to get on a factory team. So I think if that ever popped up, it would be so hard for me to say no, even if I was killing it on YouTube or something like that and I didn't need to do it financially. But there's definitely downfalls. Something my sister always says to me is there's an equal amount of positives and negatives to every single situation. So being on a factory team, obviously it comes with pressure, and you've got to look a certain way, you've got to say certain things. Whereas right now I've got freedom to pretty well do whatever I like. And I am enjoying what I'm doing right now with the YouTube, being able to talk to you guys. And like, even this video probably wouldn't be possible if I was on a factory team, because they wouldn't want me saying certain things. But yeah, I think I would still have to go the factory team deal, honestly, if I got offered one. And I'd try to just do it my own way, I guess. Next question. An interesting one would be how much you make in a year just from sponsors. So I wouldn't really say I make money. Any money I do get from sponsors and make from sponsors just goes straight back into my program. So that sort of goes back into the budget that was talking about before. If I get any money, it just goes, and I throw it into that budget and try to drop that down as much as I can. But this year, so 2021, for all the deals that I got locked in, it's $7,000. So if I get paid everything that's on my contracts, my actual salary will be $7,000. Obviously, I'm not getting rich from the sport. It definitely costs me to go racing. My goal at the end of every year is not to be in debt. But hey, I do it because I love it. All right, next one. Best way to ask for sponsors when you aren't an A-grade rider. Honestly, just give it a go. Just hit the sponsors up, try to get a relationship with them. I feel like it's always easier to get someone to help you if you know them first. And then if you can sell product, whatever that person's product is, whether it's a bike shop, tires, helmets, whatever it is, if you can sell that product for that person, they don't care if you're A grade, C grade, whatever you are, they're going to be pumped to help you out. So just go for it. All right, another question. What company have you tried the hardest to get on board with? That's a hard one. I've honestly tried pretty hard with a lot of them. Cool story probably with Unit though. So when I started all this, I knew Unit was a company I wanted to approach. I'd seen them for years, always sort of wanted to be a part of that brand. But I had no idea how to get in. I had no contacts. So I went through their website. I called a bunch of times trying to get the right person to talk to. Found a number, found an email, and then ended up getting onto the guys after probably 5 or 6 calls and 5 or 6 emails. Got onto the right person, found their address and everything, and basically just asked if I could come there. They were like, "I'll just send in a resume or whatever," but I pretty well got them to agree to let me come in. I drove 3.5 hours from Kingaroy to the Gold Coast, and went there in person with a fully done up, my proposal basically done up in a professional little booklet. Sat down with the guys and told them what I'm about, told them what my ideas are, and did it all in person because I really wanted to make the best impression I could. And those guys were pretty blown away with that. They said that they'd never had someone go to that effort before. So hey, obviously it's worked. I'm still with Unit, and the relationship's going strong. Okay, so last question. Would you ever consider a Patreon or similar setup for your subscribers to sponsor? For sure. I've actually been getting asked this a little bit lately. And obviously my goal is to go racing. It's definitely tough to do at times. So I've been looking into that lately. I'm actually going to release it. I'll probably try to release it about the same time as this video. A new Patreon account. So if you guys are in a position to be able to support me a little bit more, go check that out. I'm going to have a Patreon there with some extra content and stuff that I can give you guys. Alright, so this video could have went for hours. Honestly, I sort of struggled trying to dissect everything without going in crazy detail and everything. But hopefully you got something out of it. Hopefully I answered pretty well all your questions with it. But yeah, if you do have any other questions, comment below. I try to answer all the comments, so hopefully we can help you out in some way. I'm pretty open to anything. So yeah, again, hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and we'll see you at round 2 at Canberra.